Welcome back to season 3 of Family Twist. This is Kendall.
And Cory's here too.
Yeah, and you probably can see us if you're watching us online. Um, we'll be suddenly known as the two bald guys. But anyway, uh, I shot this idea to Cory and said, we should do a quick uh, podcast episode about the dates that I drive Cory crazy about. I'm a date fiend,
Mm-hmm.
and
It's very Rain Man with the dates.
I am actually, and it is interesting. It's not so much that I remember them easily, except that and throughout my life, so many things have happened on the same days. So it's so interesting to me, and this is just a small snippet of the way that that's worked in my life. But so what I thought I would do is talk about today. We could talk about 7 different significant events in my life that, ironically, always in my mind are celebrated or recognized between August 11th and September 4th every year. And those are super important to me, and we can quickly talk about why. So August 11th,
The most important date.
of course, is Cory's birthday. So this year we were so fortunate. It was a Friday, and we both took the day off, and we went to one of our favorite beaches in Maine, not 20 miles from our house,
Yes.
and met up with my brother and his wife, and my sister and her son, and just had a great time eating and drinking on the beach. And Cory and my brother and nephew played in the ocean. I think my sister Monica did some too, but Karen, Chris's wife, and I just sat and talked, and we had a blast, and it was a really great day.
Totally worth the sunburn I got too.
Yeah, Cory did get ridiculous amount of sunburn, even with sunscreen. But and then the other thing that's interesting about August 11th is that it's also my adoptive stepmother's birthday. And I remember when I first met Cory and we'd mentioned when our birthdays were, I, mentioned to Cory, I was like, oh, that's my stepmother's birthday. And I remember when I told her that fact after Cory and I have been dating for a few months, she's like, I'm never going to see you on my birthday again, am I? And it was just kind of a joke, but sadly, it's kind of been true. This August 11th was particularly important for her because it was her 80th birthday. So, happy birthday to my mom, Joyce, who's always been really good to me. And if you listen to other episodes of this podcast, you can hear how much I love her and what a positive influence she's been in my life. That's my dad, Rubel's second wife. Anyway, then immediately after August 11th, of course, comes August 14th. So just 3 days later, that's another very important date in my life because it's always been my mom, Betty, my adoptive mother's birthday. For those listeners who know this already, you might remember that my mom, Betty, died when I was 10, exactly a week after she turned 46. And but she'll always be my mom, and I talk about her a lot on the podcast, and um, it always means a lot to me to think about her on that day. Then, ironically, when we found my biological father's family almost, well, 6 years ago, not almost 6 years ago, we're going to have to edit that out. And then, ironically, when we found my biological father's family 6 years ago, I suddenly discovered that my half brother Todd also was born on August 14th. So again, Cory thinks it's interesting how I remember all these things, but there've just been so many same date events in my life. So the next one's the only negative one of the whole list of the 7 events, but I just mentioned that exactly a week after my adoptive mom Betty's birthday, she passed away. So when August 21st comes around every year, that is, it's a sad day for me, and I always always think of her, and I can't believe it when I say that this is the 43rd anniversary of her death. That makes me, um, it's bizarre to me to think about the fact that it's been that long ago. But then 2 days after that, on August 23rd, is a momentous day because that's the day in 2017 when uh, Cory and I found my biological father's family through ancestry.com. So again, lots of references to other episodes in on this podcast. You can hear about my interesting, fun family on my dad's side. There are episodes with Chris and Monica, my half siblings here in New England. We talk about my half brother Todd, who I just referenced a minute ago, my dad's other son, and then of course my dad and uh, my ex stepmother and my dad's brother, Uncle Sean, and my cousins, and so it's just it's been a wonderful discovery. And Cory, you going to say something?
I was just going to add in. I'm going to give a little shame to my mom, who just texted us last night and said, I just listened to the first episode of the podcast. Now, we've been doing this for a year and a half. I
Yeah.
just listened to the first episode of the podcast and I started crying, and it's such a wonderful story. I'm like, yeah, been telling you about it for a long time now. And not that she didn't know Kendall's story, but I think just to hear it in such a way,
Yeah.
obviously it definitely makes a lot of people emotional, but it was just like, all right, Mom, really?
It's what we call delayed gratification is what that is
Sure.
for us.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the last date that I always remember every year is September 4th, because in 2017, that was Labor Day. And that is the day on which my brother Chris called me and said, I just figured out who your biological mother is. And so on that day, I discovered my biological mother's side of my family, and the fact that she has three other children and has a wonderful sister. And I have two great cousins. And just, again, in that short span between August 23rd and September 4th, I was able, in a couple of weeks to find both sides of my biological family. And I know that I'm fortunate the way that that happened, because now that we've been doing this, like Cory said, for a year and a half, we hear many stories where it doesn't go that smoothly, and definitely not that quickly, and with many more bumps in the road. So I feel really fortunate that, that it evolved the way that it did and as quickly as it did, because Cory will tell you I'm one of the least patient humans on the earth. And if it had taken a long time, I think that would have been gruesome for me. I think it would have been torturous for me. And it would have caused me a lot of pain. So I'm really happy that it happened the way that it happened.
Absolutely, yeah. A lot of family twists in a short amount of time.
Yeah. Yeah. But that I hope that's interesting to you. It won't be as interesting to anybody but me. But I find those 7 events every year to be super important to me, and it is interesting that they come so quickly, right after each other, or on the same dates as each other. So thanks for listening. We will talk to you again soon.